access level has recently increased. Excellent. Incoming message.
Welcome, agents, to episode 56 of Behind the Scanner. Your hosts for tonight are Andrew Krug from Arlington, Virginia, and Daphne D. from Washington, D.C. Our special guests tonight are Jensen Hornick and Vikki Evans from Chicago, Illinois. Joining us for the Weekly Truth is Jose Antonio Rey from Operation Essex. And for a look inside the scanner is Fev Games. Joining us this week to talk about the upcoming anomaly is special guest Joe Philley from Niantic Labs. I'm Kelly Colton. Welcome to the show. The Q&A tool is enabled for tonight's broadcast. Submit your questions throughout the show and we'll ask as many as time allows. If you know someone who would make a great guest, submit their information to us at bit.ly/BTS_guest. Finally, you can watch past episodes and subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. And now, your hosts of Behind the Scanner.
Yay! Welcome! Good evening, everybody. And we're now at episode 56 of Behind the Scanner. So let's get started with the show. Tonight, our first guest is Jensen Hornick, Agent, hopefully I'll get this right, Agent Disaster Cthulhu from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
I think you said it better than the Ingress Obsessed girls. So that's good, Daphne. Yeah. Disaster Cthulhu. Well, welcome, Jensen, to the apparently Chicagoland edition of Behind the Scanner. With Ingress, there can be some harmony between the blue and the green factions outside of the game. So we chose to have you and Vikki on, who is also from Chicago for that very reason. And just like the cross-faction love, I promise that since I'm from Wisconsin and you're from Illinois, that I will treat you and treat this interview like a cross-faction event. I won't mention that three-letter word that you guys probably hate. So let's just get started with the show. Fib, by the way, for those of you watching at home. Yes, I see you smiling. So, all right. Let's talk about Chicago. Congratulations on the Blackhawks winning the NHL Stanley Cup. I have no idea if you follow hockey or not. I should probably have asked that first. How'd that go? Are you guys excited?
Yeah, Chicago's been sort of a mess today with everybody being downtown for the Chicago Blackhawks rally. All sorts of mess. I used to play hockey through high school. My dad played, and so I was used to playing quite a bit. I went down to the rally a couple of years ago, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of crazy drunk people out in Grant Park then. This year was kind of in the middle of the work week, so we had only a few agents that had eyes on what was going on with it.
How many championships have they won now?
I think it was 3 in the last 6 years.
Man, good team, I guess.
And they keep rebuilding, keep losing people, getting new people back on, dealing with the cap and all.
Well, Kelly was telling us about the fireworks that were going off in her neighborhood after the win. In addition to physical sports and games, you obviously play Ingress. Are you into any other video games or sports?
Like I said, I mainly do hockey as far as other physical stuff. I've been doing a little bit of biking, a lot of walking with Ingress. And as far as other games, I have a 360 PC at home. I play some games. I've been doing quite a bit of playing for Kerbal Space Program lately. And with Vikki and doing in the sphere of cross-faction stuff, we've been doing a lot of cross-faction game nights at her place since last August was when those first started.
What position in hockey did you play?
I was a defenseman.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right.
Both my younger brothers are goalies.
Okay. So you used to put guys in the boards, or probably still do, you said, huh?
Not so much lately. Occasionally I play with my dad in men's league, but I haven't been out there in a bit now.
All right. Well, let's keep on the topic of games because I think the father of fantasy games and tabletop games, Gary Gygax, he created Dungeons and Dragons. He was born in Illinois. Actually, I think right there in Chicago. He lived just right across the border in Wisconsin. Growing up in that area, as I did, that was kind of a big thing. Did you play D&D 2 as a kid?
I didn't play 2. I first played 3 in high school with some friends then. Then I didn't play much for college, but recently I've been playing other tabletop games, including D&D, Shadowrun, some other Palladium stuff, Rifts, Cyberpunk, with some other friends that I've known since before Ingress on usually Friday nights out in Lyle in one of the other suburbs.
Excuse me. Well, for everyone watching, remember you can submit questions to our guests. Via YouTube, you have to click on the banner at the bottom of the video that says "Be part of the conversation." And from there, you click on the square grid menu icon on the upper right and select Q&A. And Jensen, it's amazing the amount of people I know that grew up in the late 70s and the early 80s from the Midwest that played D&D. It was really a precursor to augmented reality games because you had to create and visualize the game as you were going along. Now, speaking of AR games, you are Agent Disaster Cthulhu in Ingress. Now, how on earth did you get settled on that name?
That name kind of originally came about when, around the time of the Cassandra anomaly, a lot of Chicago agents that were level 9 had decided to band together to sort of do a collaborative thing in the community, and all changed their names since we could all be permitted to have a frivolous name change at that point in time. We changed our name to, there was a little bit of stuff with somebody named EF Disaster at the time, and people were thinking him of sort of our Muppet dictator. Like, I guess we have some puppets around here at the moment, but so we went ahead and changed the names with Disaster in it, and that's sort of linked the name that it's all you can see, so it would be very confusing. A lot of us changed the name at the same point in time. It's the sort of thing we could do together and still kind of confuse a lot of people with disaster confusion going about. As far as the Cthulhu portion, my name change came through when I was actually on a trip to Japan, so I'm like, I got a few days here before I come back, and after I've been gone for a week and nobody knows where I'm playing it. And I was just listening to people for names. At the time, I had really long hair, so people were suggesting something like Disaster Jesus or something. But then Dan, who's Disaster Skunk, reminded me that when I first met him at a convention in Michigan, that I was wearing some Cthulhu stuff, and that I should go as Disaster Cthulhu. I'm like, yes, I'm going with it.
So you mentioned that it came through when you were playing in Japan.
Yeah, it was. I was there for a week because the girlfriend was giving some presentations for her doctoral research at a university there, and at the time my phone was not actually functioning, so I was just borrowing my mom's tablet to go and use maps and stuff while I was there. So I only had the option to play on public Wi-Fi, maybe hit hack like 5 portals. It wasn't very dense at all at that point in time compared to what it is now, and I got two portal approvals while I was there.
Gotcha. So you didn't have the full Japanese experience going out and being the tourist on your phone and looking down and everything.
Well, we did a lot of touristy stuff, but we weren't spending a lot of time on our phone there. One of our 3 days we went down to Kyoto and biked around, visited a bunch of temples, and probably missed tons of portals that would have been there.
Well, Japan is definitely a place that loves Ingress, I'm sure. If you ever get the chance to go back there, there's no shortage of portals now. I think the last anomaly had like 7,000 people in Kyoto. So.
Yeah, enough where they were actually shutting down Intel just to go ahead and knock out servers with it.
Exactly. All right, well, keeping with the theme of disaster, I guess, there's something else that's a little bit of a disaster, and that is your habit for collecting media. So I guess I've got 2 questions for you. The first is, how many media do you currently have? And the second would be, why?
I think I'm a little bit over 900 media at this point in time. It kind of started around when the Obsessed videos came out, which before that started was the thing that I was including there for was, like I said, I used to have long hair down past my shoulders, and I was at a fellow agent's birthday, Miro224, at a birthday party in Logan, and I was talking to one of our other agents, Miss J-Dub, and like, what should I do with my hair? I don't really feel like keeping it long, and she suggested I donate it to St. Baldrick's. So I went ahead and did that, and hit a lot of cross-faction community support for it. We ended up raising $1,400 for Mia and the foundation. And a little bit later, Kelly wanted to go ahead and use the video and pictures that I had taken of me while I was doing this donation. Said there's some sort of new Ingress, not quite Ingress report segment going on. I don't know if they could use it. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's publicly on the internet. Go for it. And a little bit later, media comes out. I'm in it as a large thing, and 2 episodes in a row went ahead and referenced my name, so I started collecting them. And from there, it's just kind of been snowballing.
So let me interject and ask a question if I can, Daphne. Besides the media that you're obviously in, do you have a favorite one? And besides those, do you have a favorite one?
What Andrew's in is what he's hoping.
I don't think I have a favorite one. I've been trying to see if I can collect some more of the older ones that I've gotten rid of a long time ago, and haven't been able to get too many of them. I've got some like the original Sensitives ones, but I'm definitely missing a lot that used to be there.
Any particular ones you would like to, if someone happens to have someone drop to you?
I would go ahead and actually see which ones are existing that I'm missing first before I can let you know. I know Portal has suggested that I try and set up a media trade group, and I wasn't really interested in trying to do that, but I'd probably be in full support if somebody wanted to set something up for that. It seems like it'd be a very niche market, a lot less so than swag.
Very likely, I'm sure. Now, what'll happen when you hit 2,000 media?
I don't know. We could go ahead and see if I can go ahead and trade it, like the one guy that had 2,000 link camps for some VRLAs or something that I can't otherwise get. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see what these new Ultra links do, and that won't be a wish.
Impressive. All right. Well, something else that's impressive that I admire about you is your unique portal visit count in your Explorer badge. How many are you at now?
I think it was 2 weeks ago I hit 12K, which for anybody that's not familiar, I did a push for unique portal visits the week before Innovator came out. I started at about 4,700 and had to get 5,300 new unique portals within a week to try and hit the Platinum badge bump for 15, so I could get the Onyx Innovator badge. So I kind of put myself through personal hell week on that, trying to pace myself, going mostly all over the cell and through some other stuff in Central Illinois, and just trying to basically keep 700 a day. It was rough, like I said, personal sort of hell week doing this, but I kept doing well enough that I'm like, it's doing close enough that I can't just stop at it. It wasn't doing bad enough where I could just give up and say I'm not going to go ahead and get that badge.
Right. So what level did
yeah, so 50, that bumped me up to 15. I did a lot of local driving stuff. I had an agent with me one day. I think it was the first Sunday I went down to Central Illinois, hit Bloomington, got some rides from agents there around their towns. Hit Springfield and Champaign, got a ride around there. And the last day I went out to DeKalb with Disaster Skeleton. He drove me all around DeKalb, hitting all the new things that weren't around a while ago last time I was out there. It's a nice fun trip around the state.
Right. Yeah. No. And those weekends and those marathon trips can be hellish, but fun.
Speaking of personal hell, are you ready to take some questions from the viewers out there?
We'll see. Let's see what we got.
You don't have to answer them. I'll ask. You can say I pass if you want. So let's see here. We've got a few from Dan Bailey. So I guess we have to ask at least one of his 20. All
right. Here's I see one near the bottom of him. Are those hand puppets? He seems easily distracted. Yeah,
that's Zeke. Yeah, Zeke wants to know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Puppets.
Yeah, we've got some hand puppets. I've got a couple people that are over here who wanted to bear witness to this, and they're doing their best to keep quiet.
Nice. Is there a significance? Is there a significance to the hand puppets? Do they mean anything to you? Is there a reason why?
You want to introduce them?
I don't think there's any reason or significance to them to me.
Do they have names? Is there any names?
Do you want to see if any of them have names or? No. He doesn't know any names.
Right,
either that or they can't talk.
Now they're shy. I see.
Yeah. All right. So Dan Bailey wants to know, what makes you so dreamy?
What makes me so dreamy? All right, I broke character.
Now the puppets laugh.
I don't have a good answer for that at all.
All right. Well, let's move on to the second part of the question. Is it true the Ingress of Sus girls have stalked you?
No, I actually pinged them after. Pinged them both after the show went out. Go ahead and say hi, just see stuff, and they're like, "OMG, you exist."
Nice.
I don't think they were entirely aware of where all the sources for stuff they had seen on the internet were, and whether or not what was real and what wasn't, which is certainly very hard with the internet.
Yeah. Bonjour. All right. ZCal also wants to know, how did you become such a legend? What advice would you give to those wanting to follow in your footstep?
As far as becoming a legend, one of the things that's always helpful is getting in early and always being around. I started playing Ingress just after Thanksgiving in 2012, and I haven't been the most crazy player out there at all times, but I've just been around and been mostly consistent. I've tried to be helpful and interactive with my local community, and for the most part, it's just being present, and positive influence helps. Yeah,
definitely. You'll be infamous if you have a negative attitude, but I think you'll become a legend if you have a positive attitude.
We've got some of those people around too.
Yeah, they exist everywhere, right? All right, I've actually got a question for you. How did you actually hear about Ingress? How'd you get into it?
Ingress, I'd first seen it when they were taking signups for the closed beta, and I was thinking, oh, look, it's another Google product that's going to have closed beta. I'm not going to go ahead and hear anything about it if I sign up, and kind of ignored it for a few weeks. And then one of my coworkers actually went ahead and got some invites and had spare invites. He tried inviting me once. I was still running Android 2.2 or something that wasn't really supporting Ingress real well. So I told my other coworker to go ahead and take the invite, and I'll go ahead and try reading my phone and installing a new ROM on there and see if bumping that up went ahead and supported it. Came back in after Thanksgiving weekend with that and worked out fine, and been playing since then. Had the agent name originally of Jensen died.
Great. Well, on that note, it's time for our BTS tradition when, for better or for worse, we give every guest at the end of their interview about 60 seconds to talk about whatever they want. Give a shout out, show off a talent, or speak your piece. So whenever you're ready, please proceed.
I don't think I have anything really prepared to go ahead and talk about for 60 seconds, but I'd like to go ahead and say thanks to everybody that's been playing with me and around me in the Chicagoland area, Resistance and Light and alike. And we've got the Anomaly coming up in Milwaukee this weekend. Hope to see a lot of you people up there. Going to go ahead and hopefully have a very good game going on. I'll see you guys either on the field or at the after parties. Anybody else want to go ahead and chime something in? Or no?
The alligator just want to do a shout out? No? Nice.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Jensen. It was great having you on the show, and to put a face to the legend.
Hey, thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure talking to you all this evening.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Well, normally we would have Jose Antonio Rey to catch us up on the Weekly Truth. However, he put in a vacation request through, and we had to begrudgingly allow him to take the week off. So he left us with this message: you won't want to miss next week's show after the fallout from Persepolis starts to occur. So next week, people.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I think is going to shake out from this. Obviously, it's going to unfold over time, but you've got the Lightman shards, you've got the whole clue thing. I think I saw a message somewhere where Farlow posted that he's in Portland now, which is really interesting. What else is going on? You've got, Jahan is at Persepolis, and all of a sudden Hank saw Devra, and she warned him not to go. So, yeah, there's some very important things going on.
Didn't come to D.C. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. It is now that time of the show for me to mess up and give you that. There you go. It's the code of the show.
Yeah.
These are shareable but limited redeemable codes, meaning they might be good for 20, they might be good for 500, they might be good for 5,000. We have no idea. Jorge's not here. He's the guy that punches it in and tells us what they are. I don't redeem them beforehand, but we'll leave that up there for you. You can take a look and see what it is. Let us know in the comments. He also plays the music too. I need to cue up the music. But there it is, the code of the show. We'll leave it up there for a few more seconds. I see Daphne trying to type it in.
I'm looking.
Vikki, our next guest, is typing it in. Everybody's trying to figure out what it is. Sometimes they surprise us, and they're a bunch of lovely SMPs. And sometimes they're not. So, all right, I think it's been up there long enough. So let's take that off. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. So moving on to our next segment, it is time for Inside the Scanner with Fev Games. This segment, we've got Connor Tumbleson. He's going to join us. He's going to break down all the app changes, edits the game mechanics, and describe the new features. And there are a bunch this week I got implemented in the app. So thanks for being here, Connor. Why don't you take it away, my man?
Thank you. Well, quite the week we've had in addition to last week. So last week, if you remember, we had Fev here, and he talked about the new 1.7.8, which had the new MUFG capsule, which was a crazy thing. Now this week, we got a new item, if you believe that. And while not released yet, it was called the Ultra Link Amp. And let me share my screen here and show you guys a little comparison. On the left, you have the regular Link Amp, and on the right, you have the new SoftBank Ultra Link Amp. As you can see, much like the Access Shield, it's a sponsored item. So you can see the little SoftBank on the bottom there, but look at them. They're not similar at all. The Link Amp looks like that, and then the Ultra Link Amp looks completely different. Now, no one knows what it does yet, so you can't sit here and guess. No one knows. You will have to wait till Niantic actually releases the features of this. But if we continue on, you can see this item has now made it into the ABK, which means the assets are there, the sounds are there, the images are there. It's a real item. We just don't know when it's going to be hackable, who's going to get it first, or what. Additionally, in this 1.79 release, we saw all the old artifacts, and that's from Recursion, Shonen, and Helios. Those were actually removed from the APK. So they're not coming back, or they were just being cleaned up. We also, pretty colors. If you notice when your scanner updated, the little path that the resonator takes back to the portal is now colored in the level that resonator is. So you can get some pretty funky, colorful looking portals now. Android wearables is still going on. No idea when it's coming out officially, but the programming work still continues there. So there's quite a continued effort to not fix it, but develop it. It's been constantly being worked on for, I can't remember, it's been 5 or 6 to 10 versions. That I hope is coming soon, but I have no idea. It'll be interesting to see, since the Japanese anomalies are coming up on the 20th. The 1.79.1 release came out, and the only thing that was in that release was translations for that language for the MUFG capsule that was talked about last week. So that's a strange coincidence. So I would say look forward to the upcoming anomalies to see if maybe we get a glimpse at these 2 new items. Otherwise, that is pretty much all the big news we got, but big news itself, new items are always fun to talk about, so that is it.
Yeah, we don't want to draw conclusions or jump to conclusions, but yeah, it's interesting. There's a anomaly in Japan, and there's a couple of Japanese sponsored items, so hopefully we'll see these things go live here soon. That'll be fun. I want to start earning interest on the level 1 bursters I'm going to put in that capsule. So, all right, appreciate it, Connor. Enjoy. I think you're going to the Milwaukee anomaly, isn't that right?
I leave for the Nashville anomaly in about 5 or 6 hours, so it'll be fun.
We'll enjoy that. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, and now we've got a special guest. We have Mr. Joe Philley. We asked him to join us. He's not from Chicago. This is the departure from our Chicagoland guests. We're going to sort of recap the anomaly and the things that happened in Persepolis to date, as well as talk about what we think might be going on this weekend as well. So with that, welcome, Joe. Appreciate you joining for your first time on Behind the Scanner.
Thank you for having me. Welcome. Hello from Portland. Forget where I was at.
It's hard when you wake up in a different city every day. Yeah, I can imagine.
It's fun.
All right, well, let's dive right into this and talk about Toronto and Buenos Aires. That happened just, it was about a month ago. The resistance won that by a narrow margin in both cities. Did you expect that to be so close?
You know, with the weather in Toronto, I have to say those agents really went an extra mile. I didn't know if we were going to win or lose. I was just hoping water, and it just really worked out well. And those guys down in Buenos Aires, all I can say is they rock. They, both teams really did us right. Really happy with the outcome on that.
Yeah, it definitely made for definitely set the tone and started things off right because such a close score. I mean, pretty much everything's up for grabs. But on the opposite side of things, the Enlightened actually won pretty handedly, I'd say, DC Phoenix. Did you expect that at all?
Well, I was really hoping we'd take DC, but when I was on the balcony there and John Bill said, "Oh man, we got problems," and DC they earned that one, and Phoenix unfortunately fell under the spell of really strong, really good. Love the guys, but if they just get near something, we really have a hard time holding them back. So Phoenix was, I wasn't sure. DC, I was hoping an air ball. I was sort of surprised by how bad we lost it. But hey, you guys earned it. It was a good show. Everybody had a good time. It was great.
Yeah, I gotta say that was DC was a lot of fun. It was very hot. Yeah, I did not pack enough water. I made one crucial misstep. But so before Persepolis 02, sorry, go ahead.
I want to whine about the heat in DC, but then we got the people in Phoenix, so I just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely had it worse than us. Yeah. So those two events, I think I missed both. Those two events were Persepolis 02, and before that, there was obviously the Persepolis 01 events that I think the Resistance took by like 2,800 roughly to 1,600. So unfortunately for my faction, the final score in Bratislava, which was the first primary, was 49.92, which is amazing, to 1790. Do you have any sort of insights on how the heck the point score ended up being like that?
Do anything about it at all right now. Planning, boots on the ground, the Resistance, if anything, we learned. Excellent work by the ground teams. Everybody there just did 110%, and both sides really did good. I was really surprised by how big it was, but the plan worked. That's all I can say, and I won't say anymore because what we're doing, we're going to try to keep doing it. So that's all you get there.
You got to go with the plan when it works. Yeah, keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this weekend a bit. It's a big weekend for everything. We've got Jahan is in Persepolis. We have no idea what will happen when the Nazir are unleashed. We thought there might be a throwdown between her and Hank, but now Hank, last couple of days, looks like he's not going there. Clue is now back in your city where you're at in Portland after Richard Loeb found her and separated her from Ada. I think we saw a message that Hubert Farlow is now in Portland too as well. There's the Lightman glyphs. I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff. It's a huge weekend for Ingress. Let's though get started with the very first primary, which I believe is going to be in Japan, in Tohoku. Yeah, that's right. One of the last anomalies there, I think it was in Kyoto, had about 7,000 people for Shonen, and the Enlightened won that by several thousand points. So let me ask you this. Do you think the Resistance, or what do you think the Resistance have to do differently to win in Tohoku in order to counter what happened in Kyoto?
we're looking at a different beast. If you look at the city, you're going to see that these guys are linkers. They make linking and feeling. Just the whole place is just one big pattern of fields. If they could play their game, we got this one. I'm not saying that the Enlightened aren't going to win. I'm just saying that this is a different animal, different city. Different Saturday. Every Saturday is different. It all depends on who comes. And like I said, it's all on boots in the ground and who comes and who doesn't and the planning and all this stuff. But I'm pretty confident in Japan. Not to have my hat handed to me later, but I'm feeling good about Japan. Last time I wasn't so sure. This time I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, one thing you mentioned though, I mean, it is.
As for
the score is so close that every person, every agent is going to be needed for both sides.
This one could very easily be won or lost by some guy in East Idaho that throws a link and then a small field and gives us 5 points. It's the connected cells this time. It's the satellites. It's going to be every single person. So if you can't go to the anomaly, go out, field your house, field your town. I don't care what you do. Go out and score us points. If you look at the score right now, usually we go into these ahead. Right now, we're not ahead right now. At least we weren't earlier. So what we need to do is everybody needs to go out because this is a tight one. This is for the whole bag of marbles. Let's go for it.
And transitioning from Japan, we've got a primary in Utrecht in the Netherlands. And similar question, there was a Helios anomaly in Rotterdam, which is really close to Utrecht about a year ago. It was really competitive. There was an extremely, extremely small margin of victory. The Res scored a lot of points with capturing normal portals and linking out, and the Enlightened scored points by capturing volatiles and having a field up during measurement 3. I don't know how much in contact you are with the folks over there, but do you have a feeling as how competitive this one's going to be? Is it going to be like it was last time?
Competitive. It's a real small word. I wish I could use a bigger word for what it is right now. This is for everything. I feel real good about our planning. The guys over there are really good about this. They know how to do this. And like I said, it's a different city. Hopefully our new planning and the new techniques that we're trying out are going to follow through. If that works out, I'm going to be a happy camper.
It'll be exciting, definitely. I'll definitely be watching that one. All right, so where do we go next? I guess after Utrecht is going to be the final primary site, and that's going to be Portland, Oregon, where you're at right now. It's going to be the last one that's also measured. So if the scores hold up and it's really, really tight there, then Portland is going to be for everything, like you said, for all of the marbles. So not just the anomaly, but not just the anomaly and bragging rights, but everything that's tied to Persepolis. Since you're there, have you heard anything? What are the whispers telling you?
I was with our intel teams last night, riding around with them. I was pretty impressed with what I was hearing. Not to put down the Enlightened. The Enlightened are coming from Southern California. They're coming from Washington. Both strong teams. This is going to be a cat fight in a phone booth. It's going to be close. It's going to be who shows up, who does what, and see if the new planning and the new techniques that we're working on, see how they work. The West Coast has never been really good for the resistance, but I'm hoping that we can break this streak and clean it up here.
You guys have a pretty strong presence, though, in the Pacific Northwest, I'll say that. So how about this? You and I are both guys that like to eat. Obviously, if you've ever met me in real life, how about we wager a meal on the outcome of Portland? I'll buy if the Res win, you buy if the Enlightened win. Winner gets to pick a restaurant.
Sure, we can do it at the next anomaly, because there's not going to be another anomaly until at least August. And I have to say, one thing else is I'm getting these things from Tycho or Workins. I would like ask the comic book stores and see if you can find out what's going on here, because I've been looking at it and I just can't figure it out. And with the Enlightenment and the quantum language, I'm just hoping that whoever ends up with it has a peace of mind to use it in a good way. And how that works out, because this is it's pretty heavy things that we're starting to deal with here, and I'm just hoping that it all works out well. With Clue coming up to Portland, the last time we were in Portland, the London guys were supposed to get some information, and it's Clue in Portland, so it sort of threw us for a loop, and we had to jump in here on a week's notice. So it'd be interesting to see what's coming up, and it'd be interesting to see why, just what she has planned and what's going on now, because this is a different Clue. This is, she's pretty much getting back to what's going on now. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the background now, people transferring and moving around. The portals and police, the agents are saying that there's a lot of stuff going on there. So this is going to be a real interesting weekend to see how this works out. And like I said, I just hope that everybody that knows that you really got to be there this time. This is the last event for the summer. I mean, till towards the end of summer. If you want to do something for your faction, now's the time to do it, because you're going to have bragging rights until at least October of saying, I won.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you brought up Tycho, which is interesting because he's been definitely more active. He's been releasing some images. So, yeah, we'll have to check that out and go to the comic book stores and see if there's anything that's been released. So, there's one right down the road for me.
Yeah, just call him and ask. Because he has a habit of just popping that stuff out there, and it's just, I'd really like to see. From what I've seen, it's very impressive, but it still boils down to, where the hell is he getting this stuff at? Is it before, the past, or the future, or what? And so I'm hoping that the more that I'm seeing of what he's coming out now, it'll give me some insight of what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, he does seem to have information that either he's being fed by somebody or he just somehow knows. So, all right, my man, I appreciate you taking the time and joining us this evening, especially from your hotel in Portland. Have fun this weekend, and we'll be watching to see what the results are.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Well, and as a fellow food lover and an enlightened agent, I hope you win the bet, Andrew. So, without further ado, please welcome the lovely Vikki Evans as we go back to Chicago now.
Hello, Miss Vikki. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing okay.
So I have to ask, is your agent name pronounced Silusa? Silusa? What the heck does it mean?
Silusa, and it's a former gaming handle I used back when I was beta testing in an old online game called the Sierra Network, the Imagination Network.
Oh, wow.
It was my wizard.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't heard the Sierra Network being mentioned for, I have no idea how many years now. That's you. I just had a wave of nostalgia watching. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, here's another interesting fact about you. Apparently, you're dead. You were murdered years ago. I mean, okay. So, yeah. How? Why? What?
Well, back in my younger days, I used to act. I studied acting in high school and college, and I had the opportunity to play the part of a murder victim in an Unsolved Mysteries reenactment. So I did get murdered on TV after living some reenactments of the victim's life a bit, and I died.
That's hilarious. I used to watch those all the time, and sometimes I wondered, I mean, the actors who played the assailants, if they might have been walking on the street or going grocery shopping, and if someone identified them as, you know, and called police on them. But all right, never thought of the victims. So, well, I'm glad you are here with us. And,
yes, I survived.
So I gotta ask. I think I asked you this in person when I met you in the DC. But did they ever solve the crime that you were the stand-in for?
They did not. They have not solved the mystery yet. It was a young girl in North Carolina, Rhonda Hinson, and she was killed coming home from a Christmas party in the mountains of North Carolina, and they've yet to find who her murderer was.
Wow.
I keep playing it. I get royalties, continue to get royalties from the Screen Actors Guild every time they play the episode.
Wow.
Well, you know, you mentioned that you're an actor, and I think every person who's been an actor that's come on BTS has told us that they were killed off in like their first appearance. We had Patrick on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think he was the first vampire to die on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you, and I feel like there's somebody else in there too. So,
it's free to play Ingress.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. So something else that can be dangerous, though, that you also do is juggling, and I've heard you do that well. So what different types and objects of juggling can you do?
Well, lately I've been juggling being a mom and working a full-time job and playing Ingress. But when it comes to actual regular juggling, I can juggle balls, I can slightly juggle pins. I do poi. It's kind of like little bean bags or light things on sticks. I can sling those around. Little devil sticks. Any kind of whatnot kind of performance art thing, I'll pick it up and play with it. I like those.
So, hey, Vikki, before we continue, a couple of people are saying that your video doesn't seem to be coming through. Your audio's fine. I don't know what to tell them, but let's try this real quick. We're going to troubleshoot live. So up at the top of your screen where you can mute your microphone, the middle icon looks like your cell signal strength. If you mouse over it, it says adjust bandwidth usage. Click on that, and it'll bring up a slider bar. Slide that down maybe like 1 notch and see what happens. We'll see if we can't get your video back. Everything else seems to be coming through. So we'll see what happens. We'll give it a shot. These things happen. It seems like every time we have a Niantic employee on or some talk about the storyline, there's always... It's a conspiracy theory. I'm serious. I don't have a
no. Like, yeah, that was no joke before. Like, yeah, our computers went haywire with that first
every single time without fail. So, okay, I can see you again now. So we'll see if this fixes it.
Good.
All right, and for those of you watching, remember you can submit questions for our guests. And those of you watching through YouTube, just click on the banner at the bottom of the video that says be part of the conversation. And from there, just click on the square grid menu icon in the upper right and select QA. All right, so Vikki, you and I share a common passion, and that's traveling. But you don't like to just travel. You've been taking the same cruise ship trip every year for the last 9 years straight. Are the towel animals edible or something? Or
no. Unfortunately, you can't eat the towel animals, but they are awful cute.
They are.
I've been doing a music cruise. It's kind of like Lollapalooza on a cruise ship. I've been doing that for 9 years. We get a big boat. We've done Carnival, the large Carnival boats, as well as the Norwegian boats. And it's hosted by usually big name groups, Sister Hazel, Bare Naked Ladies, Sarah McLachlan, and then they bring on 20 or 30 other artists, and the entire time during the cruise there's 2 or 3 concert bounce between them, and come and go as you please, and it's like spring break for people with jobs.
Nice. Sounds like a ton of fun.
Those are bands I know. I love those bands.
Yeah, Vertical Horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to date myself, so let's not talk anymore about that. Let's talk about Ingress for a bit now. So it's no secret that you've got a pretty good cross-faction relationship with the Enlightened in your area, as evidenced by Jensen and what he was saying. So what do you do to keep things civil and foster that kind of friendly environment?
Well, when I first started, it wasn't quite so civil. There was a lot of animosity, and I tried to encourage people to just remember it's a game, and that we have a lot more in common than we have that is dislike, you know. So I started a cross-faction hangout that was friendly. We had a terrible chat. We called it terrible, and people there kind of ripped on each other, and lots of venting, and we decided we needed to have another one just to kind of hang out. And in that hangout, we realized that we had a lot in common. Most of us like beer. We like the good beer. We like geeky things, the same kind of humor, and that just allowed us to connect across the faction bounds. From that sprung cross-faction game night, and we've been having cross-faction game night at my house now for almost a year. Jensen has been coming since the beginning, as do numerous other people come and go as they have time to come out to Huntley. I'm kind of far out, but we play all kinds of tabletop games and just connect and be respectful to each other and get to know each other on a personal basis. It makes a big difference when you're playing with people that you respect and you can treat them with respect. Now some of the same folks help me with the Ingress for Saturdays, which is also pretty cool.
That's great. Now, it's almost cliche to ask at this point, but when you moved from Portland to Chicago, was it 5 years ago, did you imagine having as many friends as you do now?
No, I've always liked people. When I first moved here, though, I was very isolated. I didn't know anybody, no family. I worked from home, so I didn't have coworkers. All my coworkers were in Portland or Minnesota, and it was really it was hard. And then once I got started with Ingress a little over a year ago, I found so many people that are like me. I mean, kind of geeky and like the same kind of things, like to travel, like to explore, like to find the hidden nooks and crannies of things, and just found a community. And now it's extended beyond just my local communities into, you know, the global community, which is it's really neat. And they're like me, you know. It's like we all have our little propeller hats on.
Nice. Well, having experienced all of that, how do you explain Ingress to people who are curious about it when they hear you talk?
Well, I usually try to find out what they're familiar with. Most people have heard of geocaching, so a lot of times we say it's like geocaching, or it's like Foursquare with space sounds. That's a good one. Competitive Foursquare, you know, where you're trying to battle for the check-ins, and then when they're interested in more, and if they have any kind of otherworldly kind of interests, then you can get into a little into the storyline of where it's good against maybe not good, you know. So it's fun, and usually people get excited. I'm very exciting kind of kind of person, so it's contagious.
Well, Jensen made a comment in our little episode chat that you're right, things get exciting, but tables flipped at game night is 0. However, chairs destroyed is at least 2.
Oh, yeah.
So we're getting into the viewer questions part, so let's just lead off with that. Who destroyed what chairs?
Well, my chair, usually we have a lot of people show up at game night, and up to like 20 at times. So we generally break out all the chairs, including all the little folding chairs, and lately some of my wooden chairs have not fared so well. So there are a few of my game night participants who get a little rough, and they run around and chase each other, and we have little snowball fights, and I think some of the chairs may have not fared so well with the wrestling. I also have children, and so they tend to like sit on the chairs and scoot like that, and it just yeah. So 2 weeks ago, someone sat down in one of the chairs, and it just went splayed everywhere. It was yeah.
Ouch, 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 ouch.
Yes, lots of super glue.
Better the chairs though than the games. Those
That's right.
Things, right? So, all right. Well, let's wade into the deep end of the viewer questions if you're up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Zeke Cal wants to know, during your infamous helicopter mission, did you play Ride of the Valkyries during the flight?
We only hummed it because we didn't have anything to read it. So yeah, we did the "get to the chopper" kind of quotes, and we did hum it a little bit. It was a lot of fun. It was during the Charleston anomaly. I was lucky enough to be part of a helicopter strike team, and so we were using the helicopter to go between all of these what would be really durable portals out in the middle of the ocean or the bay or whatever, and being able to go hover over them and take them out and set up blockers. It was a lot of fun.
Nice, nice, nice. I can imagine. That seems like one interesting way to play. I'll put it like that. All right. Oh, where did it go? There was a question in here. Here we go. Dan Bailey. So we kind of touched on it a little bit. He wants to know more about your infamous shower scene. So you're going to have to explain what that is and how it tied into what we were talking about before.
Okay. So with the Unsolved Mysteries episode, the girl who was murdered, I reenacted parts of her life prior to her murder because it kind of lent clues into what they thought might have happened to her. She had begun taking showers in the middle of the night and making some strange comments to her parents. She was afraid to go drive by herself, be by herself. So it was sometimes that's evidence of some kind of abuse or something going on. So they reenacted the actual shower scene. So it looked, for all intents and purposes, like I had nothing on, and I'm washing my hair. Yeah. So we have folks local who only have watched the shower scene.
So I'm curious about that. Was it at least warm water, or is it just like they just hook it up to a hose and it's just cold water?
It was the whole reenactment girl's house. Her parents had been kind enough to allow us to film at her house. So this was actually in her bathroom, and so I'm in a bathroom shower, and they had the cameras behind me filming me while I take the shower, and I'm supposed to pretend like I don't have a bathroom full of men I take a shower. So it was.
That would be very creepy. So you took a shower in the murdered woman's shower.
Yes, and her bedroom. I mean, she was 19 when she was killed, so she was living at home, and their parents had kept her room like she had it when she was younger. So there were scenes where she was looking out her bedroom window at night, just kind of,
What was her name?
Rhonda Henson.
Rhonda Henson. All right. Well, hopefully to give the parents some closure, they solve that at some point.
Yeah, we can hope.
Okay, let's do an awkward transition then. All right, let's see here. We've got one from, oh gosh, I know it's not, Josias Baez, I think. I butchered that, I'm sorry. Wants to know, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience in Bratislava? Do you have a Bratislavan experience?
I think I might have some swag from Bratislava. I like swag a lot, and so I have a little pin, I think it's a Bratislava, but I haven't actually made it to Bratislava.
It'll be on the Ingress bucket list, I guess.
Yes, definitely.
All right. And our own Kelly Colton has a question for you. She says, "Hey girl, that was my impression of Kelly, by the way. That's about as high as I can get.
I thought she was on.
See, wasn't it? Yeah, all right. What's the favorite? Hold on, I'm having a problem reading this. What's your favorite city you've traveled to for an anomaly? How about what's your favorite city that you've traveled to for an anomaly?
That's a hard one because there's so many nice ones. I've only been playing for a year, a little over a year, but I've been to Washington D.C. most recently, Pasadena, the New Orleans. New Orleans is kind of hard to top just because of it's New Orleans, Indianapolis, and then Chicago, and I think it's kind of probably going to be between New Orleans or Washington, D.C. I really had a good time in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of nice things there, a lot of nice people. Getting to Pasadena was my favorite because we took Route 66 all the way from Chicago out to Pasadena, and it took a week to get there, a little over a week to get there. That was an epic trip. So getting there was awesome, but once I got there, it was a little tired and burnt out, and the anomaly just kind of went by as a blur.
Nice. All right. Well, now is your turn to talk for 60 seconds about anything you want. You can give your shouts out. You can sing a Depeche Mode song, not that I have that in my head now, or anything you'd like to talk about. So feel free to start anytime you'd like.
Well, I think I'll give some shout-outs. So first, United Chicagoland Resistance. I'm part of BCR. Hi, you guys, and I appreciate all that you've done to help me be a good agent. Also, the Midwest cross-faction chats. Terrible and nice. Hi, you guys. I want to say hi to my game night folks, of which Jensen is one of. That's kind of my little family, and I really appreciate you guys coming out to Huntley every week to hang out and help make our cross-faction community nice. I want to say hi to Easy Company. Go Easy. And then my Real Swag Addicts group. I really appreciate you guys too. It's a lot of fun trading with you and getting to know everybody all around the globe. Try ENL and DC Enlightened. I want to thank you guys for what you've done recently with our flag and then the new banner. You guys are class acts, and I really appreciate that as well.
Yeah, you know, that was really fun. Well, not really fun. It just seemed like the right thing to do. You guys came to DC. The flag got lost through nobody's fault. I mean, it wasn't dropped and forgotten. It was just sort of misplaced because I don't think people don't really know the real story of it. During the Go Ruck, what happened was the flag got put into a little mesh side bag, and the person that had it had to transfer his load to another person. And through the transfers during the Go Ruck process, that little kind of bag got misplaced, and there was people there that were just there to do the Go Ruck, and there was people there that were Ingress agents and a mix of folks. And so it's not like somebody was waving the flag and then dropped it on the ground and nobody saw it. So yeah, it just kind of seemed like the right thing to do, and appreciate all the love. But I will be coming through your area soon, so I will be paying it back as well.
You're always.
Right. Well, thank you very much for coming on tonight. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great having you on, Vikki.
Well, I appreciate you guys inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
All right, take care. Let's see if I can do this now.
All right, well, I guess that's it for this week. Happy hacking, everyone.
Or be back.
Wow.
Yeah, we gotta see what happens when the video uploads. So, Vikki, people were messaging us saying that for some reason, although we see you perfectly fine and live and clear as day, that the YouTube feed didn't have any of your video. So I'm hoping that when it captures it and does the encoding to upload the final video, it'll actually be there.
Oh, weird.
I have no idea how to explain that.
YouTube is our only hope.
Yes.
Well, we'll